Here we are in the Writers and Illustrators of the Future Lounge at the Author Services Building in Hollywood. It contains a gallery of the writer and illustrator judges, a selection of the awards the contests have received, a library containing novels and art books published by winners and judges, and a selection of photos of some of our beloved keynote speakers and guests. For nearly 4 decades, L. Ron Hubbard's Writers of the Future contest has discovered and nurtured a steady stream of new authors and artists who have changed the face of science fiction. Chosen by an impressive panel of judges, drawn from the biggest names in the genre, contest winners are given the best possible foundation for a long-standing career. Now in its 3rd year, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast continues to provide advice and tips from contest judges, industry professionals, and contest winners for writers and artists wanting to take their next step, along with needed inspiration to keep on going. If you are already a regular listener of this podcast, I thank you. If you are new to it, I welcome you to the weekly installment of the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. This is John Goodwin, your host.
Oh, that was strange. 30-second count. I'm not quite used to that one yet. It was just something we knew we were playing with, guys. You know, all the shows now have their own intros, and I'm just playing around with this one. And I popped that one on tonight with you, the Writers of the Future just now, because all the shows are going to be up for podcast awards. It should at least 7 of the shows on the network will be back up for podcast awards. So you're going to get out there and vote. So you're going to hear that a lot. But I'd like to plug John's show that's on Monday. He's with Writers of the Future, actually with Galaxy Press. And I'll be out there harassing a whole bunch of them in April here real soon when they're out there giving away all the awards. It's a lot of fun, and get a lot of great interviews. Tonight, matter of fact, the guest that's on with tonight has actually won Writers of the Future, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we have Sean Patrick Hazlett with us tonight. And I noticed, Sean, you have a lot of books, man. And not just that. So I was scrolling you on Wikipedia, okay? Because you know, you can go like Amazon, which is what you see up here right now. That's I guess that's your Amazon page that's up there right now. And well, if we get the damn thing to scroll here. Oh wait, hold on. The reason it's not scrolling because I'm not on the right page. There we go. But I noticed you got quite a few books. But I noticed on Wikipedia, you have quite a few others, all kind of little novelettes and stuff that are all over the place. And I noticed there was a lot of different types of publications. So before I even get into all of these, what was it, man? Before I even let you introduce yourself properly. So what was it? Something you seen as a kid? Something someone told you? What was that first spark that said, okay, I can write? Because I really want to know, because I'm trying to figure this out for myself. So I'm just being honest about this. So, I mean, what was it? I mean, was it just something that came up and slapped you in the head, or was it subtle, or something in between?
I think it started in 5th grade when I was about 9 years old. And one of my teachers gave us an assignment to write a fantasy short story. And I wrote one, and then I wrote a sequel, and then I wrote a sequel to that. And then I started writing a bunch of stories. In 5th grade, I have a pile of them in a closet somewhere. So that's when it started. I lost a little bit of touch with it over the subsequent few years when I was focused on school and things like that. I tried to pick it up again in the early 2000s when I was in the military, and wrote or started writing a novel that I never quite finished. And it wasn't until kind of my mid to late 30s that I really started trying to do short stories. One thing that I think people get caught up in is it's easier to fail faster if you write a lot of short stories, because they're much shorter than a novel. And a novel, when you're writing something, you really don't know what you're doing yet. And by writing short stories, you have a chance to have other people read what you're doing and kind of pick up your mistakes. And in fact, that's why L. Ron Hubbard's Writers of the Future contest is really helpful, because it's a contest that anybody can enter. It's run once a quarter, and it became kind of a goal-setting exercise for me, because I didn't know how good I was or not. And in the beginning, most people aren't very good, and they don't really know that. So I submitted about 17 times, and not about, exactly 17
Yeah.
times. And I won on the 17th attempt. I got second place in a quarter for my story, A Dramalek, which is a horror story that was in volume 33 of the contest. And the beauty of that contest, it's completely anonymous. Like
Yes.
there's no games being played. It's based purely on the quality of your submission.
It's a good. I've been knowing John and Emily now for about 4 or 5 years, and maybe even a little longer than that. The very first time I ever talked to him, he's telling me all this, and the whole time I go, "Yeah, you're full of it, man. There's no way there's some catch." And then for the whole year after that, because he came on the show quite a few times and we talked, I said, "John, I'm just not buying it. There's some kind of catch when you get there. You got to pay for this. You got to do that." So and we've been back and forth, and I really like him. I was pretty much everything they're telling me seems to be true. Well, I went out last year for myself to the awards for the catch, and I did a lot of interviews while I was there, and they're exactly what they say they are.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Everything's judged anonymously. What to me, one of the great things I found out was seeing all these big name authors and big name artists out there taking their time to teach these people how to do this correctly. I was just stunned. And it's not. And what's really interesting about the mix of people who submit, it's all age groups from very young. Because one of the winners last year was 17, and one of the winners was 66. So I was like, I mean, it's a wide span in it, because I always want to say kids, but it's youngins, but it's not. It's a whole wide span of people. And I was quite impressed with the discipline amongst a lot of them too. But they all said the same thing. I mean, Writers of the Future gave them that step in the door. Now you've won at least a serious award. People can say, well, hey, look, he's an award-winning author. What is he coming up with next? And you like sci-fi, which to me is great, because I'm always behind every sci-fi writer I can find, man. Look, I get tired of, well, you know how it is. If you watch thanks to COVID, we've all had to watch way more television than we'd like, or way more, whatever you want to call it, than we like. And frankly, I'm running out of good sci-fi, dude. I mean, I'm seriously running out of good sci-fi.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of redos.
Oh,
right?
God, are they? They're tree dues or quad dues. Man, we're 4 deep in now. I don't mind so much. It's like Dune. I met the guy at Dune he wrote. Excuse me, I'm tongue-tied. The gentleman who rewrote Dune for the latest movie was out at the L. Ron Hubbard Awards. So I said, dude, is this going to be good? He says, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Look, man, I know you now. I said, I got alligators in my backyard, my friend. This better be good. And then it caught me off guard because of the way it just stops. You got to wait for part 2. But in all fairness, I've always said that movie should have been at least a trilogy. Just like what's the one L. Ron Hubbard wrote, the big one with Terrell in it. Why can't I remember the name of the movie?
Oh, Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. That should have been a trilogy. That movie would have made so much more sense. It's so much better as a trilogy. But no, let people don't hate on us. We're just talking about it. I'm just saying that's what it should have been. And it's like that. So anthologies and all. So I noticed you've got some. And how do you get rolling into this? I know it's because I noticed you had what was it? Weird World War III. And then you got World War IV, right? Am I confusing? Yeah, okay. So let's just go backwards. So Weird World War III, because I haven't read it, so I don't know anything about it. So what we got going on in here?
So the beauty about coming up with an anthology is when you pitch it to a publisher, and I pitched it to Bain, and I pitched a few other things to Bain before. Nice. Yeah, before Bain Publishing. And before I pitched it to Bain, I pitched, 1 or 2 other ideas that they didn't accept. But as an editor, especially a new editor like myself, because I had never edited any big project before other than my own writing, you really have to pitch something that you're the only person in the world who is uniquely qualified to do that particular piece of, that particular anthology. So for me, the context behind Weird World War III was, think Tom Clancy meets Stephen King. Okay, so if you remember Tom Clancy, right? He wrote a bunch of books during the Cold War, Red Storm Rising, Patriot Games, all that good stuff. So the concept behind Weird World War III was, what if we had a war between the U.S. and Soviet Union under weird fictional circumstances? So think, if you've ever seen the movie or even read the novella from Stephen King, The Mist, right, where you just have those those creatures kind of coming out of the fog.
Oh, yeah.
Combine that with, and it came out of like a top secret military lab. Those are the sorts of stories that are in Weird World War III. And the reason that I was uniquely qualified to put it together is I write some creepy stuff. So read a Dramalek, right? It's a pretty dark story about self-sacrifice and a demon that bestows a power to possess people. And I combine that with my experience in the military. In the military, I spent 5 years at the Army's National Training Center, where I became an expert on Soviet doctrine and tactics. So
fun.
yeah. So it's fun. Well, I shouldn't say fun, but it's particularly relevant now watching what's what Putin's doing over in Russia and Ukraine, right? It turned out to be something that was kind of an alternate history sort of exercise, turned out to be pretty prescient because it came out in 2020, and now here we are, and we have a kind of a neo Cold War. Feels like it's starting between the U.S. and Russia.
There's something going on. We may be headed back for another Cold War, but this time it'll be between U.S., Russia, and China. But hey, but that gives you more material, right? As long as we're not blowing each other up, that gives you good writing material.
That's right.
I hate to say it that way because I was on a radio show a couple of months back, and a gentleman said something to me about that, and I said, no, I said it's true. I said, reality sometimes makes some of the best sci-fi you can deal with. I said, but as long as nobody blows each other up in real life, it's fine to theorize about it or fantasize about it or dramatize it or whatever. It's just when we start launching real missiles, then it might be different. But it's a lot of good material is going to come out of this. And Putin's he's a manly man. At least he believes he is, and running around shirtless on his horse and shit. He cracks me up sometimes. So, and I'm thinking, I just like to see him and Biden standing next to each other. It's always just funny to me.
I mean, unfortunately, he knows what he's doing. That's what
he does, and that's what's scary. But I was talking to some friends of mine in the Ukraine, and they told me that he does this about every 2 or 3 years. So they're not as frightened. He said we won't be really scared until we see him rush across the border. He said then we'll get worried. He said, but usually they come here, every few years because one of the rules of becoming NATO is you have to be in peace with your neighbors. You can't be at any conflict with your neighbors. If you are, you can't join NATO. So Russia just does it every few years just to keep him out of NATO. And I understand. I mean, he's not stupid. He doesn't really want American missiles sitting on his doorstep. And I can understand that too. But that's just more good writing material. Like if he got there, it's just. But unfortunately, I can't write. I'm lucky I can write what I need to write, much less anything like y'all do. So I want to flash you back a little bit too. So you're 33, so you go to the awards. Did you have a good time? You learned anything new?
Yeah, I had a great time, and it's probably the fanciest award show in writing, bar none.
It's fun. I know they do a good job putting it on. I enjoyed it. And I hate to say it, I learned more about artists, how to be an artist in one afternoon in one class than I did in the last 35 years. It's just pathetic, man. I mean, I actually understood you. I was like, well, wait, that's how that works. Oh my God.
Well, it's amazing. It's an amazing experience too, because you get to be mentored by, the greats like Tim Powers, Larry Niven. And until recently, David Farland.
Yeah.
David
Rest
Farland,
in peace,
as you know, was the contest judge, and he passed away, relatively recently. So we're, the genre lost a great, but his soul will live on through his students. I consider myself to be one of his students, and
I think they will.
Yeah.
He seemed to be from all the different people I've talked to who are associated with this. He seemed to be one of the more beloved ones, more than the people that just enjoyed him being around. Because it's like Echo, she's beloved, she's feared at the same time. I love her; she's great. But I'm just talking about one of the artist judge people. Don't get carried away. But it is a great thing. I tell this to people all the time because I get asked the same question when I'm doing live programs. What are they paying you? I said, no, they're not paying me. I said, but it's legit. I said, you submit your artwork or you submit your writing, and it gets reviewed and then sent to the judges. The judges don't have no idea what color you are, what sex you're. They don't even. All they have is your story.
That's right.
That's it. Or your piece of artwork. That's what they have, and then they judge it from that point forward. And sometimes you get an honorable mention. Sometimes one of them might write back to you and say, hey, why don't you try this or this? And and of course, there's Wolves Clash. You can go on the website and catch up with him. He likes to help people who are up and coming. I think you got to qualify people, but still, there's just so many resources there, especially once you win. There's just all that resource. You meet all these people, and they really want to help. That's what cracks me up. I mean, a lot of these authors are millionaires, and they're like, yeah, I'll come by and talk to you, and yeah, I'll give you my time, no problem. And then they have a good time, and they seem to have just as good a time as everybody else does. That's another thing that kind of cracks me up.
Well, it's the pay forward mentality. And the other thing what most people don't realize is there's not a lot of artists who live doing their arts, but most of doing the art, right? Most of them have full-time jobs because it's a really difficult industry to make a living in, right? Like the very top authors like George R. R. Martin and things like that, make the lion's share of what's available. And I don't think a lot of folks who are not writers realize that. And there's also a tremendous amount of rejection, which is why, again, the contest, I think, is really helpful because it lets you know if you're on the right path. So, for instance, if you submit to any of the genre magazines, most of the time you'll just get a rejection. No explanation, nothing. Sometimes you might, and that means you're on the right track. But in this contest, if you submitted a kind of a story that for the most part works, plus or minus, or minus one issue or two, you might get an honorable mention. And that just gives you a signpost to tell you that you're on the right track. And then you start getting, you get a few honorable mentions, and then you get sometimes a semifinalist, sometimes finalist. Sometimes you get finalist, right away after a few of those honorable mentions, and you win. And that's what happened to me. So it's a great program because anybody can enter. It's free, and they pay you to come to Hollywood, and they pay you for the story.
Yep. They fly your family out on the day of the event? I'm stunned. I was like, what the hell, man? What's going on here? They go way above board for what they need to do. It's usually 7 days out there. So they bring all these people out to LA for 7 days. They don't get me wrong. They work them, during the week. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. There's a lot of classes going on, but you learn a lot. And it's a once in a lifetime thing to get to work with these kind of people, with this kind of caliber writers and artists.
And you also make the network too, right?
Yeah, you do.
You elevate yourself by having been chosen as you're just kind of this blind, nobody knows who you are. They just know you by your story. And that helps you establish a network, not only with the greats in the genre, but also with other up and coming writers. And, there's a ton of people, and most of the people in my year, I still keep in touch with. And many of them are even in the anthologies that I have, that have come out. So Weird World War III, Ville Merlainen is a Finnish author who's in Weird World War III. Stephen Lawson is in Weird World War III. In my next anthology, which is Weird World War IV, and I'll explain a little bit more behind that. But David Van Altman was a finalist, is in that, as well as Stephen Lawson was there. Has another story in that particular volume as well. Brian Trent, I think was a winner in the past with his story. I think it was called War Hero. He's in both volumes. So there's a ton of Martin Shoemaker, Brad Ferguson, also past winners, not in my year, but past winners. They're in both volumes. So there's, these folks are reliably producing professional science fiction long after they've won the awards. So it is a great program to identify talent in a very, in terms of, in a very crowded field, I would say, right? There's a lot of people who take their hand at writing, and a lot of them give up. And this is a program that really helps identify talent.
Yeah, but that's probably good. But the camaraderie probably helps because everybody gets to know each other real well for that week they're there. They're hanging out, they're working hard, eating, sleeping, and drinking together. Kind of, you get to know people quite well. And I noticed, with the two groups, because I was there for 36 and 37, because of COVID, they missed a year, which was a crowd. If I did 36 interviews while I was here. I was like, gee, yeah. One time I walked into one of the artist class. I said, when y'all are done, whoever wants to do interviews, come upstairs. It was 14 of them came at one time. So we just sat there plowed through them for about a couple of hours, but they're all great interviews and they're all on YouTube for people to see. It's stuff that they'll have now. You know, they can pull it, download if they can't get it. Just tell them right to me, I'll send it to them. But it's stuff they'll have now, 20 years from now, 30 years now. They'll be famous. That'll be a good interview.
Yep.
You know, so
right.
It's something they're gonna see. This is where I started at, and I gotta say, a lot of them got really tight. I mean, they were really, and you can tell they're gonna be talking to themselves for long after. That's another thing. If a couple of y'all start making it, you know, mid-range or even higher, you know, you have somebody, you know, somebody to hang out with, somebody to talk to, somebody to go over your work with you. Because I noticed there was a lot of that. Everybody, I wouldn't call it criticism, but there's a lot of sharing advice amongst each other. You know, can you read my story? Can you look at my artwork? And give me some points. And I've seen that a lot, and everybody seemed to do really, really well. I was really quite surprised. I hate to say this again, but I was quite surprised at how well everything went off, and how well the amount of information these people were absorbing to me was amazing. I mean, this was like cramming a year of art college into a week, man. It's just like reading college, you know, just but it's, hey, look, you're coming away with it. And I gotta say, when I had talked to a couple of these before the contest, and they were nervous, and then I didn't get to talk to them the first 2 days because I didn't come in until the third day. But after that, they all seemed to have gotten really tight, really close, and had become very confident. And you could tell when you got on stage and everybody was doing their thing on stage, they all looked pretty good. They were like, yeah, we got it together. It's a good bunch. I hope to see a lot of good writing. I hope all of y'all do great sci-fi, because, you know, I'm a big sci-fi nut. I'll say it again. The more sci-fi, the better. I'm always looking for something good to watch.
Yeah, and you know, Volume 38, I think, is coming out in April.
Yes.
So definitely check that out, because that's gonna, you know, that's the future of.
Well, I'll be down there. I want to get my assigned edition too, because last time they put my ass to work when I was there. So I was doing press, and I forgot her name now. Cheryl, what was her name? Anyway, she goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Just recording." She said, "Can you help?" Next thing I knew, I was handing out books for the next 2 hours. I was like,
you should have gotten one, because we
you know what was funny?
Signed like hundreds of them.
Well, I picked up a set, you know, had 36, 37, the full signed editions, you know, hand signed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I was downstairs eating, because we were at the Roosevelt, and I had set them next to me eating. I guess I forgot them when I said when I came back. They were going. I asked the guy, he said, nobody had no idea where they went. I was like, of course they did. So I told John and Emily to send me 2 more. And so there's somewhere, actually, let's see. There is 36 right there.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
And I think 36. We gave away a bunch of them.
Hold it up a little higher. I can't.
Yeah, let's let y'all see it.
There you go.
There you go. That's 36. Good artwork there, you know. Oh, by the way, how was your artwork with the? I know, in case y'all don't notice, ladies and gentlemen. So when they do the stories, somebody from the group does the artwork, the cover work for their books, and or the cover. How'd you like yours? I didn't ask. And this is, of course, 36. No, 37. Sorry.
Well, I loved it, and I loved it for 2 reasons. So I had, you know, the artwork not only for my individual story, which was great, but also one of my heroes growing up did the cover for that volume, for volume 33. Have you ever heard of Larry Elmore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably from John.
Yeah, no, so he did a ton of those old Dungeons and Dragons covers with all the dragons and things like that.
Well, maybe that's why I know his name.
Yeah, that's probably why. And the other thing, and I got to meet him. He was also he worked at a place at Fort Knox called Task C when he's in the military. So he was telling me old stories about, you know, how he would draw you know, pictures and graphics for the Army for a bunch of, you know, Soviet anti-tank missiles and things like that. So yeah, he's been around the block. He's in the Army for a while too. Yeah. So and I was at Fort Knox, you know, when I was that's where I originally trained. So, you know, after the ceremony, I kind of got to sit down and have a drink with them. It was fantastic. So you do.
I mean, you can't pay for that kind of stuff.
No, you can't. You can't.
That's just, you know, it's hard until people experience it. It doesn't make sense to them. But it's not something you can pay for. I mean, you could pay for classes. You're just not going to get that kind of attention. And I think these guys and ladies like that they're maybe sitting next to one of the up and coming artists of the future. They may be watching your work in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, however long it takes to get there. And I knew him, I helped him out, or helped her out. And yes, they don't discriminate at all about anything, people, nothing. It's hard to make people understand this. They do not, when the judges get anything, they don't know who you are, what you are. Somebody said, well, how do they identify sex? I said, they don't. They don't care what sex you are. They don't care what color you are. All they care about is your story or your artwork. That's it.
Yeah, in fact, if there's anything on there that identifies you in your submission, it gets disqualified immediately.
Yes, it does. And you don't have to take anybody's word. I actually was there talking to judges. Y'all know what kind of ass I can be. And I talked to all of the judges about this. They were all very honest. Y'all know I got a degree in voice stress analysis, so no, they weren't lying to me. It was exactly what it's such a thing. This is why it's a big deal to me, people. For me to find something that's completely legit is like 1 in a million. I'm not kidding y'all. I've been a lot of organizations ask me to get behind them, help them out, and you start researching, and all of a sudden, let's say a little fuzzy business here, a little funny business there. Oh, I want money. Oh, it sounds great, and then all of a sudden, somewhere in the middle, before you can get there, oh, we need a couple of thousand. I know, so, but that's not how this is. And it amazes me that they fly everybody down, fly y'all out there, put y'all together. Now the writers and the artists have to double up.
Yeah,
so, but they do that on purpose to help y'all build come right. I know why they do it, but I didn't see anybody having any real problems with anybody. It seems nice. And Roosevelt's a nice hotel, nice place to hang out and get in trouble. And last time we were there, they had the salsa dancing going on. Me and a couple of judges almost got ourselves in trouble. We're all scared of Emily. So, and if y'all know who Emily is, people, that's John Goodwin's other half. That's his wife. And she deals with a lot of this stuff for setting up the awards and stuff. And John runs Galaxy Press, so which he's insane, by the way. You don't hear that from me, but no, just teasing.
It's just an insane work ethic, I think.
Yes, that way, and this kind of work. Now, people, if y'all are brave, y'all may want to try this book.
Yep.
This thing. Was it 100,000 words? 50,000. Wait,
that's more than 100,000 words.
No, Mission Earth is the one that's 50,000 words. I get them confused. And until lately, I had been listening. They had sent me a nice pad with all L. Ron Hubbard's works on it, and I enjoyed it. I played in a car, listened to us driving, Wi-Fi it up. And when I took them out to dinner, and I brought it with me. I was going to show them something. I brought it with me. I stuck it between the seats in the car. When I brought the car back, I called. No, the pad's gone. I'm like, this is Avis rental car, by the way, people. Yes, I'm telling y'all. Yeah, this $4,500 pad just went missing. So anyway, hopefully they'll do the right thing, and we'll see what happens. But I know the person over there, so it's kind of cool. It's now anyway, getting back to more important stuff besides that. So World War IV. Okay, so is this a continuation of 3? Because I had noticed, I had seen some questions that Carmen or John sent over. And I was kind of wondering, it looked like it must have been a progression from one to the other. So first off, just kind of sum up just a little bit around where the weird World War III ends. I don't want you to give the book away, but just because somebody might have read it already, we want to go read it. But just kind of give an idea of where we're going to be leaping to into 4.
Sure. So Weird World War III is a collection of short stories by a bunch of other authors. So they end in various ways. Some endings are sad, some are happy. There's one story where the U.S. astronauts and the Soviet cosmonauts are kind of on a Mexican standoff on the moon, and an alien species comes in and starts killing the cosmonauts while the astronauts watch, and they have to decide: do we help the cosmonauts or do we just hope these things don't attack us? And then, and in the meantime, they're looking down on Earth, and it's, there was a partial nuclear exchange. They see black clouds and all sorts of great stuff. So that's the last story of the anthology, and it happens in 1986. It's on the surface of the moon. It's good stuff. In terms of where that segues into Weird World War IV, the premise behind Weird World War IV for the authors who participated, so they all wrote short stories for it, is what does the war beyond the next war look like? And some of the stories start with kind of Einstein's sort of quote, I don't know what weapons World War III will be fought with, but I do know how World War IV will be fought. Rocks.
Sticks and stones and rocks, yeah.
Yeah. So some stories took that perspective, then others didn't. And the other requirement or constraint that was lifted was it didn't necessarily have to be with the Soviet Union. So there's some stories where China's involved. There's some stories where there's survivors from World War III and aliens invade, and aliens consider them barely even notice humans. They're like rats riding on their trains. So there's a lot of depth and breadth across the various stories. There's some stories, and the other thing too is these stories were written, all of them, during the pandemic. So
that's interesting in itself.
Yeah, so I have a foreword to that, like a preface that talks a little bit about that, because all of the stories, or at least most of the stories, there was a bit of a distrust of central institutions, right or left. So it was pretty interesting to see how that goes after folks survive through that crazy experience that we're still kind of limping out of right now.
I'm gonna have to get a copy of 4. It's I'm always looking for something. Usually I'm looking for it in the audio book form because it's easier for me because I'm driving a lot. So when I'm driving, I can just listen to it. You can go along driving. But every now and then, if it's something I like, I'll have it translated or I'll have it put into audio form. It's just some of the ones now that, like that Microsoft Sam, I can't do that. That will make me jump out the car and kill myself. It's just
which Microsoft thing?
It's called Microsoft Sam or Samantha, and it's their little reading tool, and it reads quite well, but it's just such a horrible voice that you're just like, oh my God, please stop, just turn it off. And so you can't use it like that. But there's a couple other ones out there that you can get that work pretty good, and they screw up sometimes. They'll mispronounce a word or they get stuck on something, like especially if it's a fuzzy word that doesn't kind of exist but doesn't really exist but maybe exists. It gets a little fuzzy and that kind of stuff. God, if you ever say UFO, it freaks out for like 5 minutes. It took me forever to teach one of them how to say UFO. I'm like, UFO.
Oh, man.
What does it mean? Unidentified flying object, UFO. And I'd say, and it would try to change.
Just teach it the new lingo, UAP.
I know. Yeah, that'll be the next one. But it always wants to change it into something else. Or it's like if I just put you instead of YOU, I just put you, it always puts I. I'm like, no, it's not what I put there, you stupid thing. Just leave it alone. So don't think for me. I don't want you to.
Well, the good thing about Weird World War IV is that you can take it in tiny chunks, because there's between 19 and 21 stories. I don't remember.
Oh, that's pretty good reading. Well, that's good too. That's why I like the L. Ron Hubbard stuff, because you can go through stories. And
yep.
I got one of my hosts coming up, because one of the stories was in 36 or 37. She had one for writing a book about a psychic policeman, in the future. So, and the girl I have an interviewer, is what she does. She's a psychic cop. Basically, she finds missing people, and she is one of our hosts on the network. So I think it'd make a great interview. The author and the real thing. I like this. And what's good about it is the lady who wrote the book is a cop herself. So.
Oh, wow.
So it should be a really good interview. I'm waiting to see. I think a bunch of little chickens won't get it going. I'm gonna have to intervene. I can see it coming, man. I'm gonna have to intervene. But so what are you? 33. It's been 4 years, right? Am I right? 4 years.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah, because we're on 38. Yeah, we're on 38. Sorry, 5 years. So you feel you've been writing a lot more since then, or? Because it looks like you've been pretty active since it was. I have to go look. It was running somewhere at 213. Seems like you were pretty active from that point forward.
Yeah, so I would say I've written a total of 68 stories.
That's not
I've
bad.
probably sold 50.
That's not bad at all.
So it's a high hit rate, but it's also, you just have to keep it up. I published 2 anthologies. This is my second anthology that I published. I'm working on a novel. I'm about halfway through. I've written 2 novels so far, but they're not quite at the level that I think. Yeah, I could easily release them on Kindle if I wanted to, and sell fine. But I want to use a traditional publisher, and
you stand a much better chance of making more money with. And I don't even get into that, but all I can tell y'all people, and I'm gonna be real fast about this: when you go looking at publishing houses, ask up front what your cut is, because some of them will just kill you. So you just need to be upfront. You need to know if it's something you're willing to, because it's easier to get famous with a big publishing house. We're not going to lie to you about that, because they have the money to put you out there and get you out there. It's just some of them you can make as low as 10 cents a book. So you need to always ask. And I've had some guests on that were just, when they first started out with 10, 15 cents a book, they were just getting killed. And now it's, 2/3 of the book or half the book. And, books sell for different prices, anywhere from $2 to $50. Just depends what it's about and how good the author is and things along those lines. I got to say, most of the people I've read so far, I haven't been to 33 yet, but I've been 34, 35, 36, and 37. I'm just about through 37. I've enjoyed the stories. Now, they're not all my taste, but I still enjoy them because there's good writing in there. You can tell they thought about what they were writing. It wasn't just jumbled, rushed, and put together. Because I get a lot of people who send me books, and sometimes they're like, I'll be like the first 5 pages, like, okay, they were smoking crack when they did this. I just slide it. But I asked, we have a lot of hosts on the network. I say, well, hey, y'all need some guests here. There you go. Take this book. It's just, I have to read a lot, and for me, reading, I prefer to read like documentary stuff or technical stuff. It's just my brain works that way.
Joe, you got to get volume 33 and read my story.
I'm getting it now. No, now we're talking about it. I'm getting it.
It's on audiobook, my friend. It's on audiobook.
You know what? But wait. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Yeah, you can read it. You can listen to it.
Wait a minute. Let me see something. 35. I had an order just come in the other day. Hold on. 35. I bought it 32, 30. 33's got to be in here. Those are in there. 33. This is the one he's in, guys, right here.
Yep, that's a Larry Elmore cover. That's why there's dragons on it.
Well, it's fine looking, and I've been buying it. They got the 5-book sets over there, and I've been giving them away on air. And this set just came in the other day. I forgot about it. I hadn't even put it out to be given away yet, so I'll get to read it now. I knew I had this. Every time you sit there, I said, I know that number from somewhere. And when I looked down, I forgot I had a stack of them right here. I was getting ready to give away, and that's what it is. By the way, we're not going to give away 33 tonight, guys, because I have to read through it. So, but you know what? We will give away 34. Oh, what did I do it now?
Joe, just don't read mine at night. Just read it during the day.
Oh, it's one of them kind of books. Okay, I'm glad you said so.
Yeah, you'll be looking over your shoulder
dreams and stuff. Oh no, I'll tell you which one we'll give away. We'll give away 35. Okay, hold on. Let me get my head back in my earphones again.
Yeah, get that higher. Got to get that higher, Joe.
Yeah. I don't know what my chair slipped down or something. It's weird. I feel like I'm shorty. There y'all go. 35. We're going to give this away. So where are we right now? Whatever email comes in with the email stamp at 10 o'clock to the iCarCox.net, it's yours. Just make sure you give me your address and a way to send it to you, and I will send it over to you. And it usually takes about 2 days to get them, unless you're outside the country. Yeah, see, now he even got y'all a book. Look at that crap, man. Somebody's gonna get a free book out of the deal. I love giving away the books. We have authors send us books all the time, and some of them get kept and put into the library because before Katrina, we had about 2,500 book library, just of all kind of paranormal and sci-fi and UFO stuff. And it was a lending library. You could come by and get something out of it. People would exchange stuff and bring stuff in, and they took stuff, and it was a nice little setup. But when Katrina came in, the water didn't get deep enough to get to the books, but it did get into my house about 6 inches deep. And it was so much moisture, all the books swole. They swole so big, they just smashed up against each other. They were just ruined. And I think we recovered about 400 of them, but that was about it. And since then, we've been back, send us books, people, send us books. And the problem is they send us books, but I keep giving them away. Especially during the holidays. I mean, this holiday, I think we gave away about 130 books, 135 books through the holidays, and they make great gifts. People call in or write in and say, I want to give it to my mom or my aunt or my sister or something. Like, yeah, sure, take it. See, now we got Sean's book in here. Y'all going to have to, now next week on this show, I'll give it away. Oh, no, we got a political show coming up. I'll give it away on a political show. Yes, if y'all can listen to a centrist, I'll give it away there. Mm-hmm. As I'm pissing half of y'all off, but still, I'm a centralist. So look, I get to play in the middle. I have so much fun doing that. It's the only way I could keep my listening audience anyway.
Well, they can get it on Amazon now if they want.
Yes, that's true. And you can't go over and get it on Amazon. I had to wait here. Matter of fact,
just whatever you do, don't read my book at night. Don't read.
Yes.
Don't read my story at night. Just a heads up. Now watch. It's probably people are gonna be clicking, downloading.
Yes, go download the book. I'm reading it tonight. I didn't know what he's talking about. I'll read the damn thing tonight. Yeah, read it to your kids while you're at it. Yeah, there you go. Oh my God. It's
Yeah, definitely don't read it to your kids.
Yes, that's it.
Don't
read it to your children. I'm teasing people. You're gonna be wanting to shoot both of us. No. Oh, if y'all see this little award right here, that is for L. Ron Hubbard's birthday this year, from March 13th. That is from the United Public Radio Station to L. Ron Hubbard. That's my copy of it. Emily let me keep it. And yeah, she's tough, people. I'm just telling you. If y'all win, y'all very careful. Between her and Echo, man, it's rough. And then there's Joni. Oh Lord. There's some women that run around like maniacs with him.
Joni's a powerhouse. She is a powerhouse.
She is something else. Joni's the one that sends you the letters, people, or gives you advice or things along those lines. And
she's the one that gives you the call.
Yeah, she's the one that gives you the call.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what to do with me because wasn't there. I'm not an award winner or anything. I was just there for press. I'm covering the event. And she's like, what am I going to do with this guy? He's a pain in the ass. But I gotta say, people, if and this is one of the reasons I like having people like Sean on who's been through it himself. Now you know, just go do it. You can't. The worst thing that can happen is they say try again, and they're not rude about it or anything else. They just try again. You'll get a letter saying try again. Resubmit. And remember, people, you can submit 4 times a year. So yeah, they don't, just because you don't win the first one, don't mean you can't try for another. They have 12. They do 12 winners on each of the artists and the writers, and then they have honorable mentions, stuff like that. And it ends up being like 14 or 15 winners in each category. So you should go, peeps. And I'm telling you what, if you win, you're going to have a great time. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to meet some people that might actually change your career.
And to reiterate, I did it on my 17th attempt.
Yes.
And some of the stories, or actually many of the stories, probably most of the ones that I didn't sell, that I didn't, that didn't win, I sold somewhere else.
Yeah, because they're looking for a particular caliber story, and they and I guess the more you win, now by the way, if you're a professional writer, if you make X amount of money, you can't submit.
Yeah,
there is, but you can go over there. They get all the rules on the website. You can go read the website, and they'll tell you what the rules are. And just because it doesn't matter if you've published before, it's just a matter of how you publish and how much money you've made. And then if you're a professional writer, you consider professional, you're kind of out of the box. But they're great people. They got a free course too over there. I've tried to take this thing like 3 times. I get about 3/4 of the way. I'm like, F it.
Why'd you stop, Joe? Why'd you stop?
Look, I don't know. I might have better luck with being an artist than write. And the bad part is, Sean, I've got somewhere on the desk over there on the side of us. There's 3 outlines for 3 books, completely outlined. We went on a vacation trip, a 12-day vacation trip. But for some reason, I never could get. And even after going through the course, and I've learned a lot from the course about how to spread things out and how to filler, I guess would be a good word for it. And I've learned a lot more about it, but I'm just not smooth. You want me to write your documentary? Shit, man, I'll get you a good one. But I want it to be entertaining as well as, so it makes it a little hard. And I'm learning. But, I've had a couple of people offered maybe to ghostwrite for me. I might let somebody do that because we have all the information. It's just, I don't know. Oh, the grass was green while I was walking down the yellow side. I'm lost, man. But at least I'm honest about it. I know you know what I'm talking about because I know when you're writing.
No, I just wrote a 10,000-word outline, sent it to my publisher,
God.
and then I started writing. But you know what? Once you do for me, that knowing what's going to happen next in advance makes it easier for me to write. Some people are pantsers. They kind of just write and figure it out.
Yeah,
I can't do that. I'll write myself into a corner.
Yeah, because that was one of the courses that I heard him giving while I was there, and they were talking about how you do that, and I was like, yeah, you just keep writing. Next thing you know, you're like, wait, where'd this damn thing go? It's time to erase it or tearing out pages. But still, I mean, every writing experience is a new experience. So it's and so you seem to have a knack for at least being able to write them and sell them, so that's a plus. And some of these other writers are getting that to that point. And again, people, he said he's submitted. It's not 17 years, by the way, people. It's 17 attempts. It's 4 times a year. I talked to a couple of 14 timers. One of the guys who's a regular guest on my other show, Preston Dinner, he submitted 34 times before he won. And so, yeah, just keep submitting. As long as you're writing, you should be submitting, people, because you can win. And it can help you change your careers. It's just a good feather to have in there. They give you a nice, big, shiny trophy.
Yep.
You know,
Trip to Hollywood.
trip to Hollywood. You get
Pageantry.
to, Hollywood Boulevard. They do a big gala to bring in a lot of press. And by the way, you can go on YouTube and just do Writers of the Future Awards 2021 and take a look at it. You'll see about 57 minutes. You'll see my lovely face smiling at everybody. And it's like, how'd you get that shot? I said, I'm friends with the press. That's how it works, man. But it was a great experience. And I love some of the stuff the guys got on there and said, or I shouldn't say guys, but the ladies and gents got on stage and said it was great. The guy from Australia, he was insane. He lost his mind because he wasn't
Sean Williams. Maybe?
Yeah, he he couldn't attend, so he was stuck down there in Australia. So when he heard, I mean, he cracked me up. But everybody did a good job. I mean, nobody was real nervous, and if they were hiding it real well. Everybody got there and seemed to have a little personality going on, which was nice to see. Because you never know what you get. People freeze on stage. I know you do rehearsals and shit, but I've been to a lot of places where people just and you're like somebody asked me the very first time I ever did a lecture. It was only in front of about 300 people, and he said, "You're not nervous?" I said, "Yeah, I'm nervous." And they never because I'd done a little radio, but I had never really done any lecturing. And I was like, "Okay." So everybody gives you different kind of advice how to do it. All I did is I'd find 4 or 5 people in the audience, and I'd focus in on them.
Yep.
And I would use their expressions to guide where I was going with the lecture. And it worked real well once I learned how to do it pretty good. And now I enjoy doing it, but it's a little spooky at first time. So, you write your book, it gets accepted. You're like, oh shit. Then you're going to go ahead and talk to these big ass writers and people. Oh my God, this guy wrote Dune. Oh no, this guy wrote Ender's Game. Oh man, these are big boys. And you think, but hey, they don't act that way though. None of them I found had how can I say it? Outrageous egos. Not that they didn't have egos. I don't want you to know people, they do have egos, but they didn't have that snotty kind of ego. They just said, yeah, look, I'm good. You want to be like me, listen to me. But they weren't just outrageous type egos. It was very pleasant. I mean, and I got to talk to every judge that was there more than once. And when I went drinking with a couple of them, and it's they're good people. And they want to help. And that surprised me. I got to be honest with y'all. This is Hollywood. We're talking about people. It's foreign to see people out there wanting to help people. That's all I'm saying. And
speaking of the author of Ender's Game, Orson Scott Card, I have a story appearing in an anthology with him.
Oh, great!
At the end of December December of this year, it's called Worlds Long Lost, and it's about like archaeological digs where they find extraterrestrial, ancient alien stuff, like kind of H.P. Lovecraft. It's good stuff. Good stuff. So that comes out at the end of this year.
I'll enjoy seeing that, and I like his work, and I'm getting ready to read yours. So I'll probably. Well, you said don't read it tonight, so I'll read it tomorrow. But it'll get read this weekend. And it's one of the things because while I was there, they actually asked me to give a lecture on how to deal with the press. Mm-hmm. I said, well, if y'all newbies, I said, remember, this is about you. It's not about the host, even though the host can make it about. And I said, call them out. And it's like, what do you mean? I said, well, when the host starts telling you they read your book, they probably just glanced over something on the website. So I said, so ask them some hard questions. And I even proved the point. One of the girls, I said, well, I read yours, and she turned around, she asked me, I said, you see, now it's you got control, I don't. So then now the interview is yours. And I said, if you ever feel uncomfortable, if you're on stage, drop the mic, pick up, and walk your ass off the stage. If you're on things, say, well, it's been nice interviewing, click. I said, don't let them abuse you. They're there to talk about you. And besides that, all they're going to do is call you a prima donna afterwards. You're just going to get more ratings. I said, so don't worry about it. Right. I said, but you can't let them have control, because if you do, oh, well, they can do anything they want then. It's just one of those things. But I had a lot of fun. That's all I can say. I got a lot of work done, but I had a lot of fun. Oh hell! So going back to World War IV. Sorry, I got off track again. That's what you call senility, getting old. And so how many? You said like 19 to 21 or something stories.
Yeah, about that many.
So average 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 words. I'm saying
average 5,000 words. There's some that are a little bit shorter. 3,000-ish words. And then I think the longest story there is probably 9,000 words.
Those are pretty quick reads, yeah. For my wife, that's like she reads like a Jedi, man. What? You see them commercial and they cut the thing and start. I'm like, did you? No, wait, it's like 2,000-page book. No, I'm done. I'm like, Jesus, how do you read like that? I took speed reading courses in school. I can't read as fast as she does.
Yeah, I'm a slow reader too, but
oh man, I'm like, no, don't make me read on air. It could be a disaster. It depends what kind of mood I'm in. It's kind of funny. So, so you got this. So this is your latest one. So what you got planned after this? I know you said you was working on a novel. Any secrets on the novel? Something spooky? Something scary?
So think what would happen if a meteorite of seemingly intelligent design crash landed in the Russian Far East, one of the most inhospitable places in the world, and the U.S. sends Delta Force to get it.
To be
And the
interesting.
Chinese invade Russia to get it, and the Russians try to get it from their backyard.
That would be fun. That would be interesting too.
And then what?
Yeah, and then what? There's all kind of ways you can go there, especially if you bring something like Alien through the. There's just a lot of ways you can go there. It gives you a lot of room to play around, feeling. That kind of stuff's fun because you can write yourself into the middle of it, and then you can just write out in like splinters and come back, go back out, whatever finds to be most comfortable. See, I like stuff like that because it is easy because there's a lot of ways you can go there. You can have them all join up against an alien. You can have them come out whooping everybody's ass. You can have just them fighting with each other, or just freaking out with each other because they might not be fighting. They might just be freaking about whatever just landed on a thing. Because ever since that last asteroid went by us that they think might be intelligent, God, there's so much argument about that one asteroid. I've heard them argue about a lot of things, but these egotistical scientists, physicists, and stuff like that, because half of them think this thing was some type of object that was sent to scan our solar system.
Well, you've seen the ATIP program reports on the front page of the New York Times, right?
Yeah, that was. Wait, was that? Did I see them? No, I don't think I did actually. For some reason, it sounded really familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think there were two or three instances, right? There was one off the USS Nimitz in 2004 that they have video of. That was declassified, and they showed it. And there was another event that happened in 2018 where they call these things UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and they don't know what they are. Like they could be anything from natural phenomena we just don't understand yet. It could be another force outside the four forces that we're familiar with, right? The weak nuclear, strong nuclear, the gravitational and electromagnetism. It could be some interdimensional thing. Who knows? They don't know. One nonfiction book you should absolutely check out, but you won't be able to sleep for about 3 nights afterwards, is a book that came out in October called Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. And what that did is there was a Defense Intelligence Agency team that went and investigated the strange phenomena that they see at the Skinwalker Ranch.
I spent 2 weeks at the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Did anything follow you back home?
No, nothing followed me home. Skinwalker is an interesting place for several reasons, but one of the reasons is, which they don't like us talking about because it causes some of the problems out there. It's downrange from one of the biggest nuclear testing ranges in the country. So there's still a lot of radiation that comes downrange from, and radiation causes a lot of weird stuff. So some of the mutations may actually be legit from that kind of stuff, but it's just other stuff out there. The place is eerily quiet sometimes. You're in the middle of nowhere, and I mean you don't hear not even a cricket. You'll be outside, nobody's saying anything. There's no vehicles moving around, and being where it's at, you don't really see that much air traffic. It's so far off the beaten path that you see, like when we were at Area 51, you can see Vegas at night, basically from there. So it's just air traffic going back and forth. But out there, it's not. It's just a weird place. So when you see something moving in the sky, it instantly catches your eye. And we've seen lots of stuff moving around the sky, but nothing ever got close enough to really discern what it was. So it's a true UFO because it's unidentified and we have no idea what it was.
Right.
Well, was it aliens? I don't know. Was it government? Don't know. Was it drones? Don't know. I mean, and now with these freaking drones, it's making it so much harder on people trying to find UFOs or trying to get information, because there have been a lot of people who just turn a drone into a UFO and fly it around. And people have no idea if it's real, if it's fake, because you can't really tell. And then thanks to digital cameras now, you can go outside with your camera on your phone, take a picture of an area, come back inside, crop a UFO back into the middle of it, put it back and take a picture again. And now you get a picture that looks like it's digital, it's original, but it's fake. And there's no way to prove it's a fake. So that's why I always tell people the same thing. Always keep an analog camera with you, especially if you get them kind that are sealed. Man, it's so hard to fake that with an analog. Because you get the back, the gray pixel back, so you can look through it to see if anything's been messed with. So that you'd have to actually physically do it, but it makes it hard these days because of that. But thank God, I was stationed on the Nimitz for a couple of years, and I've seen the Nimitz was a flagship for a long time, so a lot of stuff like to buzz around the Nimitz. And I remember we were out there one day, the whole crew's out there working. We had two Lebanese jets buzz the carrier. I was like, oh, shit, man, all of a sudden, woo, woo, woo. I don't know why they didn't shoot him down, which was surprising because we had a whole full escort with us. Next thing I know, we had 14 planes in air in less than 2 minutes. It was just after him. And I thought for sure he was dead.
What kind of planes, Bud?
They were Lebanese jets. They were
Lebanese jets?
Yeah. This was back in, what was this, in the 80s? Yeah, it must have been mid-80s, somewhere around there. And we were there when Reagan came on board the ship. I actually told that story a few times. And then, see, I got a Class 10 security clearance, which is like 10 levels above top secret. And it's, I remember that he came to visit, and there was an event that happened that day. So they had given us they had made us sign a non-disclosure agreement for 27 years, 29 years. And so when it quit, a couple of us came out and talked about what we'd seen. 5 days after that, I was talking to Stephen Bissett. 5 days after I talked to him, they reinvoked my agreement. I got a letter in the mail that said your agreement has been reinvoked for another 22 years. And in lieu, you said we could cost you your Class 10 security clearance. And I didn't even know they still checked my clearance. I was doing a job for an FBI agent. I was working on his house after Katrina. And he brought me in his house. He said, Joe, why do they background check you every 4 years? What the hell's going on, dude? He said, what are you, a terrorist or something? I said, do I look like a terrorist to you? I said, I have a Class 10 security clearance. He said, you got a what? He said, dude, that's like higher than my boss at the FBI. I said, and people always think it has something to do with aliens, but I had to work on all the jets on the plane. I was a plane captain. So every jet on that plane, on board that ship, I worked on. All the missiles, everything went along with it. If it had any electronics in it, I worked on, I had to be on a conning tower and in a nuclear reactor room. So I was in the three most delicate places on it. I had to have it. Hell, our first officer didn't have the same clearance. It was just being because of my rating for what I did on board the ship. I had to be. And man, it was funny because I remember when I flew home after I got out of boot camp, I was visiting friends and family. Like, Joe, the FBI came to the house. Like, what do you mean the FBI came to the house? Oh, they came to the house. They came and interviewed. They interviewed more than 50 members of my family, at least 30 of my friends. I was stunned. I was stunned. I was like, what did I just get my ass into? I thought I got in some sort of security program. I was going overseas or something, man. Oh, Lord, it freaked me out a little bit. And I said, maybe it's because I was taking a special forces training. I said, maybe that's what it was. And it's just because of the clearance. They're very, very secure about their clearances. And I don't blame them. I mean, you just let me into a reactor room on the USS Nimitz, which carries a nuclear payload on top of nuclear reactors. Yeah, you want to know this. Whoever's working on it knows it. It's secure. It's fun. But you see, I could write about stuff like that. But like I said, when it comes to the filler, it's just not me. See, you could write about stuff like that. That'd be easy for you to write about. If you catch it, because I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore, but if you catch it, it's there's a show somewhere on a network. I'm interviewing Stephen Bissett. I was actually on his show and he was on my show, and we're talking about this incident that happened on the Nimitz while I was stationed there. But since I got flagged, I can't talk about it anymore. What's a bitch, man? Come on, I've been out of the Navy 30 years. I'm like, and we got flagged one time for talking about EMP shielding. I'm thinking, come on, the Russians and Chinese know we got EMP shielding. Jesus, man, everybody in the freaking country knows we got EMP shielding. And I got flagged on that. I was like, what the hell? So far, I haven't got any marks against me, but a flag is just a warning. You'll get a letter, big fancy letter from whatever security agency. You have been flagged for. And you're like, what? I'm always stunned.
Even
Like,
flag, what are the consequences? Like what?
nothing unless you do it again. We got hit a couple of times in the early days doing Wake Up USA when I talked about different things on board the ships or different stuff like that. I got a reprimand, which almost got me a demerit for talking about subtending. I didn't realize what I was talking about was classified. I was talking about how the procedure went on, because we wanted Nimitz and to be all smashed in between us and stuff, and the tender be over there and something be, and they're thinking they're tending the carrier, but they're not the tending the sub. Man, they were pissed because I said that. I was like,
well, and some of it is classified in
yes.
one branch, but not as classified in another. I remember an air defense guy told me something once, just told me. And then I said the same thing to a former stealth bomber pilot. And he's just like, how do you know that? It's classified.
I know it's
like,
classified. What? I know.
I'm like, what? I'm not going to say what it was because I'm assuming he was right.
Yes. So, don't get yourself in trouble because they do listen to my show. So it's, because we had one time I was talking with Alfred Weber about alien agendas of all things. Right in the middle of the show, this guy breaks in. My producer's freaking out, right? He hasn't got into the system. And he said, you know who I am? And he always listened. So until recently, we had phone lines coming in and out. So we have a system that runs through the phone line. It's really for cursing, but it tells you if the line is open. So if there's a little red light on and you look at the box, that means someone's line, there's a third party listening in. So there's we never did a show where it wasn't lit up. And even now on here, even with StreamYard, I get a thing that comes up on my computer it's called a hack tracer. It'll backtrack anything that's trying to ping in. We still like Virginia, man. We'll get attacked by 1,000,001 pings in 1 second, stuff like that. Yeah, they're just trying to get in and see what the hell we're doing. And I've had them come in with some big name. I had Michio Keiko on with me, and we were talking. And I said, "Well, they like to listen." He said, "No." I said, "No, they'll break in and ask questions." And we were talking about the stepping stone theory about how to get in space without fast and light travel. And so all of a sudden, you hear a third voice pop in. He said, "Yeah, well, no, Joe's right. That's how we're going to do it." And Richard said, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "Frick if I know who that is. It's a closed system." And I was like, "Who the hell is it?" Somebody was listening, hacked in. And when we do specialty shows in paranormal ufology, they will actually come in and ask questions. They will break into the system and ask a question. It's insane.
Is this government or is this just?
I have no idea who it is. It's not. It's whoever is high end, because my computers. It'd be hard to hack my computers. The guy who set up my computer system ended up working for the government. He used to hack NASA all the time, and they finally caught him one time. He went way deep and he got caught, and he gave him a job. And when he went to work at the HARP facility in Alaska, he sent me some software. So it's on all of my computers. And he updates it like about every 6 months or so. He updates it for me. Just some wicked stuff. So it's got like 1,100 viruses in it. And it's a deliberately left open port. So if you're sniffing for ports, it's open. Your system's going to jump on it because it's open. Boy, once you go into it, it just downloads all them viruses into your computer. I've had people tell me it physically pitted the hard drives. That's how nasty it was. But they basically said your computer's shot. You might as well just fry the hard drive and go get another one because you've lost it. And it alerts me when it happens too. I'll get this little red box that pops up. Someone's tried to hack your system and it's been dealt with. And it's funny because the program comes with it's not a real AI, but it acts like it's a real AI. Good morning, Joe. How are you doing? And starts asking you questions. Anything you input, it wants to talk to you about. It's a crazy little software he has, but it's great stuff. And so that's why I don't really worry about security. It's not that nobody's invulnerable from being hacked. I mean, that's just part of it. But
It's just
matter of fact,
when they try.
a good guy, podcast Garden, who had been around a long time. He was a hoster, host podcast. And one day I went to go load up some podcasts, and they had this Korean guy running back and forth across the screen. I got you. She destroyed his whole site, man. He had to take it down, just wiped it out of existence. I know it's not funny. It was funny, but it's not funny. I mean, I feel for him. But what he posted on the page was hilariously funny. So you just got to be careful out there. So I don't know. To be a writer is tough. I mean, it's like being a contractor. It's feast and famine.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why we all have, full-time jobs.
See, I have a full-time job. A contractor is still feast and famine. So But I mean, so what did you think for like? Have you ever met Nick? I mean, have you ever heard of Nick Redfern? He's he's an author. He does like cryptozoology, paranormal, ufology, stuff like that.
I've definitely heard of him. I mean,
So he's what I call a 9 to 5 writer. He gets up in the morning, sits at his desk, and he writes till 5, and he calls it a day. I forgot how many. He's got a buttload of books, 24, 28, 30 books out. I mean, I don't even know how he does it. You know, most people say they got to have a muse or something, or at least have a train. And so he just picks a subject and writes.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. If that's where you're making your money.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that's how he makes his living is writing all the time. But that's what I was going to say. For you, how much would you think? How many books or short stories would you have to write a year to make a good enough living that's all you'd have to do? I'm just curious what you think.
I mean, it depends on how the books do, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you're, like I said, if you're a George Martin or you're a, Dan Brown, right? You only got to write, one book maybe every 2 or 3 years, and you're good to go. But if you're kind of a mid-list writer, and again, I haven't formally published a novel yet, so who knows what
that's going to do.
That's true. But I think if you tried to do it, kind of the average, you'd probably have to write 30 books a year.
Because people ask me, when I'm doing stuff like that, and I said, I really don't know. I mean, and I'm with you. I said, really, I think it just depends on what it is you wrote and how well it's received, or what kind of press you get on it. I mean, it's hard these days to get a lot of press because, I mean, we offer a lot of press, but a lot of our press is overseas and in countries like China and India and all over the freaking place. And matter of fact, last time I looked at, we had like about 27,000 people listening to us in Iran tonight, and we got people right now listening to us in Ho Chi Minh City.
Oh, wow.
You wouldn't even heard it 10 years ago. That would have been unheard of. We wouldn't even let them into our servers in America. Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh are actually two bigger. Vietnam, actually, I think we have close to 100,000 fans in Vietnam, which floors me because they have to speak English or have somebody translating for them. What gets me is we're up to 7 listeners in North Korea. 7.
Well, it's probably just their intelligence service.
Probably something to do with it, because I'm thinking it has to be somebody up in the echelon, because that's the only one's got cell phones to start off with.
Yeah, have you ever looked at North Korea at night?
I know,
right?
It's and then now South Korea, I think we've got 300,000 or 400,000 listeners overall down there, and so as we go around the world, but places, some countries like places like Timbuktu, I didn't even think existed. We have listeners there. As far as I know, these days we have listeners in every country on the planet. So, and it varies from what show is going to get what. But we can honestly say we go out to every country on the planet, which is nice. And I've noticed since I've hooked up with the Galaxy Press, they've started getting more international audience, because we have a bigger, much bigger international audience than we do U.S. audience, and which is strange for me, but it's nice. It's just kind of weird, to be honest with you. And then right now, well, for the last 2 years, Russia has been challenging the United States for first place on our servers, on like SoundCloud, places like that. And I'm thinking they're going to have, what is, I guess it just,
why do you think that is?
I don't know. At first I thought maybe they were trying to use them for something, but then China right now is beating both of them. But Hong Kong has a big part to play in that, because when I used to host on Stardust Radio, we had friends with Pioneer Radio in the UK, which was actually based out of Hong Kong. Well, when I left them and started UFO Paranormal Radio before it became United Public, I am the guy who owned Pioneer. He was he wanted to retire. So he said, I'll give you the server setup and everything. It's all you got to pay, and then you just link right into it. We still have them there. We have 2 servers in the UK itself, and then we have the 5 servers in Hong Kong, which feed almost half of China. And then we actually have physical servers in Beijing and a couple other places. And so we cover all of China now. And more, we see more and more listeners there, more and more listeners. And Hong Kong alone is probably good for 200,000 listeners. So it's crazy. And then you go down to Australia, there's 50, 80,000 listeners down there. In New Zealand. I mean, there's just nowhere we don't have listeners. And it's strange to me. It's strange, but exhilarating at the same time, because for people like you and me, it connects us to a group of people around the planet, not just in the U.S. So for you, like people listen to you tonight, they now know, you've got these books coming out. They can go looking for them. They might not have heard this any other way, because it's definitely not a New Zealand news or any of their papers or Australian or anything like that. So Yeah, the Aussies like me for some reason. Ever since I got into it with their scientific magazine, they like me. Yeah, I made a boo-boo one night. I said, all the abduction people on the planet agree it's about 10 to 15% of the population. Well, Alfred Weber decides to do the math live on the radio. That comes out to 1.42 billion people, right? Oh, Jesus. I got more email than you can even. Oh, Jesus. It was horrible. And then all of a sudden, the largest scientific journal magazine in Australia writes a 2-page article on me. I was like, you got to be shitting me, right? So I read it. So I wrote a rebuttal. Then I called them and said, would you like to come on air and really discuss this in more detail? They wish they'd have never met with me. But after that, I had a big following in Australia after that day, I guess. And they've got, we're like on, I guess it's like satellite television here. See, what is it, on Dish Network? We're on like 8 of the Dish networks in different states. We're on there. Would have all those radio channels in the back.
Yeah.
We're actually mixed into that. Same thing in Australia. And somewhere in the UK, it's kind of weird. And but it's weird to know people listen to us that way. They're flipping through and they see United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal, depending on where it's at. And they're like, and then they're hearing us talking. They're like, well, what are these guys talking about? Well, oh, wait, this might be interesting. Especially when you tell people don't read my book at nighttime. Thinking these people say, whoa, what do you mean don't read a book at nighttime? And half of them will go read the damn thing at nighttime. That's what scares me.
But they can't say I didn't warn them. That's all.
They can't say that's true. Now, wait, let's see. Let's go through here this list for a minute. Wait, I done lost the damn list. Look at me. Come back here, list. Damn it, Joseph Paul. Wait, so what's this one? Mars. I didn't see this one.
Yeah, so most of these are all short stories, right? So there are anthologies where I have a short story that appears in some of these anthologies.
Sorry about that. I threw myself. I was getting ready to bring the list up, and somehow I decided to throw myself out of the room.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, that was a very strange little. It was very strange, but no, yeah, because when I looked at it, see, because I'm a big Mars freak. Actually, it's let me see if I can bring this back in the list with us, but it's anything Mars I'm a freak on because I do. So I have a bunch of computers in here. They're all 8 cores and 6 cores. Some are even 12 cores now, and they run SETI on them. Been running SETI on my computers for 30 years. And I forgot how many. It's like I think they're sending them almost to 1 trillion hours. And it's ridiculous how much time it spends on.
Are they still headquartered out by my way down in?
I don't know. I haven't looked because they send me stuff now. Like so, I had my computers doing. You can check the age of asteroids by the color. I mean, not asteroids. Meteor impacts, by the depth.
Oh,
of their color.
Check out the NEO website, the Near Earth Orbit website. That will terrify you. How many near?
Oh, I know. No, it's scary because we got JTrack is one of the things we use. We tell people if you're going to go UFO hunting, you need a couple of real tools. You need to have analog and digital cameras, but you need more than that. So airport monitor is great. Airport monitor monitors all the air traffic in Canada, United States, and Mexico in live time. And it also lets you go back 1 year in the past so you can see it. It also tells you the flight name, the number, where it's headed, where it's coming from, where it's headed. It even shows you military. Even if it's classified, it'll still show you as military. So right then and there. And with JTrack shows you near-Earth objects and all satellites in orbit. So you can look. So if you've seen a UFO at 9:57 on this date, you can check both of those and instantly eliminate it was not an aircraft and it was not any satellite or junk. So then what the hell is it? So at least you have some way to eliminate some stuff to help you to clarify, well, maybe this is some type of unidentified flying object other than traditional stuff. And around here, because NASA's everywhere, the Gulf Coast, NASA is in every state, not even 10 minutes from here, one of NASA's biggest rocket testing facilities they have in their ocean facilities. I mean, literally 10 minutes from my house. And as soon as you cross into the state, because they're right there, you're in their territory, all your cell phone goes dead. They just black you out. No cell phone use until you get X miles through the territory. I'm like, look at this, man. And I guess they're scared people can get in there and listen to whatever they're doing. But right there, we have seen TR-3Bs on 12 occasions. We tell people, so they'll leave Pensacola, Florida, somewhere between Pensacola and Destin. That's where Eglin Air Force is. They'll leave there, and they'll fly up north of interstate because it's pretty much from Florida north of interstate all the way into Louisiana. It's just all forest. There's hardly anybody living there. So, And these things are really dark and black and really quiet, so you don't really see anything. And if they don't have their underneath engines or lights on, it's just a black thing. The only way you notice them is the stars get blotted out. So as it goes by, you'll notice it'll be like a triangle covering the stars as it floats by. And they'll go all the way up to NASA Stennis facility. Then they shoot down to the Michoud NASA facility, and then they cross the Gulf of Mexico back to Pensacola. Now we've got witnesses all along the route, and we even got shrimpers and boat goers all across the Gulf of Mexico who reported seeing them. So we know it's a real thing. We know it happens a lot. And then after I met Senator McDonald, we knew for sure they were real. What we're using them for, I have no idea what the hell they're for. It's futuristic design. Who knows what it is? But those kind of things help you when you think about doing things more logical. And for me, that's probably the reason I can't write a good sci-fi novel. My brain keeps wanting to kick back into, just too logical. It's not going to make sense. The book will be jibber jabber. Jabber jibber. Alicia said, when you're putting out your bestseller. Hello, Alicia. How you doing tonight? Oh, she also wanted to know, what's the scariest book you've ever read?
Ooh, scariest book I've ever read.
The one he just released. I'm just teasing. I'm sorry.
That's hard because I don't. Well, actually, no. I got one. I just told you at the beginning of or toward the beginning. Read Skinwalkers at the Pentagon.
Oh yes, that's right.
It's scary because it's based on official government reports.
Yes,
it's not scary because it's fiction, or at least look.
Skinwalker Ranch is a wicked little place, people. It's not for the lighthearted, that's for sure. You don't want to go hang out there if you're. Well, now it's got a different owner. See, that's one of the problems. First, it was owned by one guy, and then Bigelow bought it, and now this other guy's got it. And somebody asked me, well, if there was anything real out there, why did Bigelow give it up? I said, because it wasn't what Bigelow was hoping for. Bigelow was hoping for something extraterrestrial, and I don't think this is what that actually is. In other words, when I was out there, it didn't seem to be ET related. It seemed to be something else. It could be, like I said earlier, it could be something related to being downrange from testing facilities. It could be something natural. It could be something that the native Indians talk about. But for some reason, it just doesn't have that extraterrestrial sense. It feels more like something that maybe was a part of our planet at one time, and it's fewer, one or two left or something. It's a strange feeling, but when you get out there, you'll definitely sense there's something out there besides you. You get this eerie, scary, really weird sense of, and every now and then you get these weird smells and stuff that come through, and occasionally you find animals mutilated. But I've always been iffy on mutilations because I busted cattle mutilation. They hate me for that, by the way. I am so hated in ufology because I messed up their cattle mutilation that it's not even funny.
How'd you mess it up?
Well, stupid me thinks logical, so I started looking into cattle mutilations. And I asked some doctors, because the parts of the bodies that were missing, like the udders and just different parts, I said, well, why would anybody want that? He said, well, if you were eating it, it would be this reason or this reason. And I said, I asked him something. I said, yeah. I said, well, because all these cows that have been mutilated are all around areas where we used to do nuclear testing.
Yeah.
So I said, with these, he said, oh yeah. He said, that's where the radiation would show up first. So then it got me bothering. I said, well, why are they leaving the cows? Why aren't they taking the cows and disposing them or doing something with them? Because I started talking to the ranchers, and these weren't just little cattle herder guys. These are big ranchers, and the cows are insured. Without the body, they can't collect the insurance. So now aliens wouldn't even know if your cows was insured, or wouldn't even care. Let's be honest about it. But the government might, because the odds of you talking about this when you can just go get the money for your cow is a lot less.
Right.
So it just bothered me that almost everybody I talked to, not everybody, but almost everybody I talked to, cows were injured. And it was the same body parts being taken. And every doctor I talked to after that said the same thing. That's where radiation would show up first.
Yep.
And people said, well, why did that make any sense? I said, well, it makes perfect sense. I said, they were testing nuclear radiation around there. They want to know if there's a potential problem because they can nip it in the butt before it happens. I said, the government needs to know this, because if all of a sudden people start dying from this, that, or the other thing, it's going to come down to the government like a ton of bricks. This is a way they can monitor it, and people just say it's aliens and they can do what they want to, and nobody pays attention. Nobody gets hurt because the farmer or the rancher gets their money back. They'll probably get more than what the cow was worth. So it made sense. And, they hate it when I brought that out. Oh no, Joe, I can't be that. I said, well, what the hell? Why the hell are aliens? I said, tell me why the aliens are taking those parts. I said, were they trying to eat some extra radiation? And the fact that it doesn't really happen. It doesn't happen east of the Mississippi River. There might be one report. It really doesn't happen in Europe. There's only 1 or 2 reports.
Have they ever caught anybody?
Well, they did catch one thing. So this general down in South America started having all these cattle mutilations, and then his cows were disappearing. So he had this insurance policy for like poachers. So all of a sudden, like 40 of his cows went missing, and he was collecting the insurance on them. Well, some reason the guy, I think they had one of the big tower wells, and it wouldn't pour water. So the guy went up there to check why all the cows were inside the well. It was fraud, is what it was. Oh man, it happens though. I mean, and people take advantage of stories like that because it scares people. He was actually saying El Chupacabra was taking him away. So, I've never met, and I don't want to meet El Chupacabra either, by the way. But still, it's some of these stories are crazy. That's a good thing to write about El Chupacabra. There's that guy Hami Massan who gets those pictures of those creepy gray aliens peeking around corners and stuff. Every time I see one of them, I say, "What is it? Pedophiles? What the hell is this?" They do. They got these little like sneaking around. Like, okay, I said, I'm not thinking that's how they would do it, but hey,
Right.
maybe so. But see, all that's good writing material. That's all stuff you can use to put it in there. What's that, Melissa? Oh no, you see what it says on the bottom going by? You see where it says it down there? Real world paranormal with dark fantasy. I stole that off of one of John's titles. Yes, dark fantasy. That's why I told you to read it in the daylight. Yes. Oh, you think you won? I'm not giving away 33 till next week. Don't hate on me. Hate on Sean. It's his fault. I'm blaming it on Sean. Oh no. What's that? Okay. Denise wants to know why sci-fi. That's all it says. Why sci-fi?
Because it's interesting. It forces you to think about the future and think about how technological change causes change in other aspects of society, right? Even how we're living today, right? If you look at social media, who knew 10 years ago or 20 years ago it would be as disruptive as it's been, right? There's a lot of unintended consequences. And that's what you do when you write sci-fi. You think of a new technology and then imagine how society would react to that new technology, positively or negatively. And you have a story from that. I think it's interesting.
You should do a book on how social media ended the world. Oh Lord.
Yeah, that's a whole other show, Joe.
It is. It surely is. And I mean, look, I'm not anti-social media. I got a lot of social media pages, but I would have never thought it would have went where it went. That was just crazy stuff there. Mark, what you got for us? I see you pop something up that popped by. What is it? Oh no, all of them are for sale. World War IV is for sale, right?
Yeah, so it is released. The release date is on March 1st, but you can order it. You can pre-order it now, and it'll arrive.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can go pre-order it and get it for the day it's released. There you go. That works. Now, John had asked me a question earlier about wanting to know how all the slaggy humans and radiated humans from in the third book was going to go into how they were going to translate over into the fourth book. And I was like, wait, what? I said, because obviously I didn't read the books and I didn't know what he was talking about.
Oh yeah, just read the if you look at Amazon, just read the header.
Oh right, no, the description of the book.
But the point is that there's some stories that are that do have a war after there's in a post-apocalyptic environment. So there's a story by Laird Barron as an example, who's a pretty prominent horror writer. And he has a cybernetic dog that's that lives in a hyper intelligent, like super intelligent too, and he is navigating through this post-apocalyptic environment 1,000,000 years after World War III, and it is also a pretty creepy and dark story, but I think it's definitely pretty interesting. There's also an Arthurian, like an Arthurian kind of story in a post-apocalyptic setting too. So there's a lot of interesting takes on this environment. There's another story by Brian Trent that looks at a world, I think I alluded to it at the beginning of the show, where humanity had just finished fighting World War III and was completely exhausted. And then this highly evolved, or a species that evolved from dinosaurs, comes in from a transdimensional portal, and they're fighting their own war against two separate species on their own world. And humans to them are barely register. They're like rats. Right. So there's a lot of interesting takes on what that future might look like. There's some that also involve kind of a war with China that's happened, and then kind of what's next. There's another story where there's a woman who's going to different dimensions and trying to find a way to win in a war against China, in a post-nuclear war environment. So there's a lot of interesting permutations of that theme. The other thing too, Joe, you asked me what I was working on, there's a third one that I'm currently working on. I'm not sure quite when it's going to come out, but a third anthology where I go back to Weird World War III, but it's called Weird World War III China.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so and you're going to have a lot of former military people. That's the other thing too. There's a lot of veterans, either military or CIA, who have stories in both anthologies. So by my count, there were 6 veterans in the first one, and then there's 8 in the next one, including me. So
that's gonna be good.
Yeah, you have people who know what they're
right from their experience. Yeah, that always makes the books more interesting, especially for people who have shared experiences or had done weird stuff or been in combat or been in the service. It's just a different feel. Christopher. Yes, Christopher. So Christopher is a friend of mine. He wrote a book like the Andromeda Strain, right? Mm-hmm. So, but his book was the Andromeda Strain, but this was on a different world. These were aliens that had caught up with this disease that was rampaging across their planet. Well, it turned out to be us. We were the virus that was rampaging across their planet. And I was like, wait, what? I said, how does this work now? And so apparently the aliens were a virus. Like the Andromeda Strain was actually some type of virus, but they lived on this world that was their world. And we invaded it, and I guess we became the virus. I was like, okay. It was a little weird. I said, well, submit it to Galaxy Press, see what happens. He's like, really? I said, yeah, I can't tell you if it's any good. I don't know anything about this. It's submit it. That's the only way you're going to find out. But that's a good way of doing it. But see, stuff like that, I mean, Andromeda Strain could be just, see, now that we have COVID, there's lots of ways to go with COVID. From, it fizzles out to nothing to it's the last great, breath of planet Earth, or I should say of humans anyway.
Well, actually, I have a short story about something like that. So there's another anthology that's coming out this June, again by my publisher, Baen Books. It's called Robo Soldiers. And most of the stories, probably all but one between 1 and 3 of them, are by former military and intelligence folks. And the purpose of the book is to look at the future of AI and robotics. But I also slipped in a CRISPR virus in my story, where if you remember the Zika virus?
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine if there's a gene, it's called the EDAR gene, that I believe the only kind of Han Chinese, so like 97 or 96% of Han Chinese have it. The rest of the world doesn't. If you were to harness that virus, you could make it so that all newborns outside that population, their skin would blister in the sun. So just imagine what would happen and then you can blame, let's say you wanted to blame the Pakistanis, and because they want everybody to wear a veil, right? And you could pin it on somebody and almost get away with it. But that starts kind of a weird World War III. And, my story kind of takes place after that. But what would that world look like, where all your children and, young adults have to wear cloaks? Otherwise, their skin blisters in the sun.
That'd be a whole different thing. It'd be like the Middle East on the entire planet.
Yeah, and it would harm
Yeah.
your economy, right? Like it would have a
It's still
number
in
of
there.
different impacts. And if you're caught out in the sun, like your skin will blister, you have all sorts of problems. So and that's just CRISPR. Like that's something that can be done today. Like the technology exists to do something that horrifying today.
Kirby, he's talking about the CRISPR technology. CRISPR is what Pfizer and Moderna use to do their vaccine. It's too much to get into in this particular show because we only got about 15 minutes left. But it's just you can look it up. It's
gene editing, right? You can edit specific genes.
They edit the gene to teach the gene how to look for specific things. So it's actually was designed for one disease, and then they decided it would work good for cancer, which is what they were trying to use it for when COVID came along. It identifies, so in cancer, it identifies the cancer cell, and then it goes and eats the cell. So it gets rid of it, and that's what it's supposed to do with COVID, and it does. It's too much to get into on this show. I don't want to go there because it's just too much to get into. But look it up. It's interesting technologies. All I can tell you. It's probably one of the technologies for the future.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it has good application. It's just a technology. It has good applications, and then it could also be used as a weapon.
Well, I'm sure it's Satan's weapon, but at this point, it's not. Okay. Remember, anything we create can be turned into a weapon if we really want to weaponize stuff.
Yep.
Well, and as far as all the rest of it goes, we're going to be doing a political show soon enough that y'all can write in all y'all want about what virus is what, and who did what, and who didn't do what, and who said what. That's fine, but that's not what this particular show is for. Well, no, I would bet. Now we have Sean this too, but I would bet just as COVID starts to fade over the next 2 years or so, you're going to start seeing a buttload of these movies about viruses. I mean, we went through that wave. What was it in the 70s? I think when they started doing gene research on how to kill people that's why we needed vaccines. They were doing all this chemical biological warfare testing. So there was a lot of movies about it back then, and then it kind of waned out. But I think now, because of COVID, we're going to probably see, it might take a couple of years, but we're going to definitely see a big group of these movies come out. So there'll be a lot of writers out there writing. Well, you got to have a good author. You got to have a good novel, something to write a movie. I mean, I guess you can just sit there and write a movie, but it's not the same thing. And no, I agree with Gene. The movie's rarely as good as the book. Because the books are usually got way more detail in movies. It's like Dune. If you read Dune, there's way more to Dune than what you get in the movie. And the movie's great. I'm not going to lie. Original movie is fantastic. It's great. It's a classic, whatever you want to call it, cult, whatever. But there's more to it in the book. There's still stuff missing out of that movie. And the new one, they're trying to incorporate a little bit more in that by doing it into a 2-part series. Oh, well, I hope Sean does write a movie like that. I'll be calling him. He'd be my best friend. Hey, Sean, how you doing, baby?
That first book. I hope that's what it turns out to be. We'll see.
That's what I'm saying, man. When it gets out, I'll get you on. When it gets out, we'll do some teasers, and because it's another thing when I did the lecture for them about. I said, whatever y'all do, people, don't give away the book. And like, what do you mean? I said, a lot of authors don't realize when they're talking to me or anybody else, if you say too much in the beginning, you've given away the end. I said, the best place to talk about a book is somewhere in the middle, in a non-place that's not driving to the end or even bringing to the beginning, because sometimes the beginnings are and you got to be paying attention, and then it kind of goes in and settles into the middle, and then you got the end. For some reason, some authors, because they're just not radio experience or television experience, they have a tendency, if you give away the end, you're not selling your book. That's all I'm telling you. People go, well, I figured it out on the radio. I ain't no reason to go buy that damn book. So I'm honest with them. I wanted them to know that because it's easy to do. It's not, especially if you're new, it's really easy to do. The old authors are like, they'll give you like 3 little sentences of the book. Now let's talk about something else. Like, all right, we'll talk about something else, which I can understand.
I didn't even say the half of it either. There's lots of surprises in that thing.
Yeah. I bet too. And, well, no, you go on Amazon. I just had the Amazon page up a few minutes ago, and you can go over there and let me see if I still got it posted. I'll grab it up real quick for y'all. Let's see. You can go there and just peruse through and see what you want to get. The prices aren't ridiculous or anything. And why am I seeing my ugly face up there? That was just scary. And let's see. Where's the share? It share the screen, baby. And there it is. There's Sean. Boop. Okay, so that's World War III right there. That's this one. See.
Yep.
I'll
So
click as we go through. There you
focus
go.
on this
Look, there
one.
you go.
And then you want to focus on Weird World War IV, which comes out. It's a sequel to this.
But if you type it in, you can probably get it. If you type in, you can probably order it ahead of time.
That's right. There it is.
Okay.
Right down there.
Oh, yeah, there it is right there. I thought it was been okay. So there you go, guys. You can go right there and order it.
And there's that World's Long Lost I talked about too. Yeah, sorry.
There you go. You can get
this is where you get the slag heaps you're asking about.
Hey, come on, people! It's only $15. Jesus, man, you spend that more than damn Starbucks coffee. Give me a break.
That's right.
Y'all go get coffee and a biscuit in the morning. Y'all don't spend $16. Come on, go buy the book. I like the cover too. It's of course I got this thing about covers that have a more retro look. That's why I like some of them old covers off of L. Ron Hubbard stuff. It's in classic 20s covers and stuff. And there you go, World's Lost, Long Lost. So he's got quite a few of them here. Y'all can go check out and get.
That's the one with Orson Scott Card in it.
Oh, Orson, yeah, it's got to be serious, guys. Y'all better go check this out. Orson got his stuff together. You mean Orson's most famous movie? It was Ender's Game.
Yep.
And if you don't know what Ender's Game is, I don't know what to tell you. You're not a sci-fi. You don't know what Ender's Game is a twisted kind of little weird movie. When I started watching, it didn't turn out to be what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like one of them stupid Mockingbird movies. Did I say stupid? One of them Mockingbird movies. Sorry.
The Hunger Games, right?
The Hunger Games, which I actually like the Hunger Games. I'm not mocking them. I just, they're a little kiddish to me. So I'm old, people. What can I say? I just don't know. I just don't think no 18-year-old is going to save the world. So I gotta move on from there. And it's just one of them things. Calm down. This looks like this is going to be interesting. Y'all can order this right here. It's already available. So get in there and read it.
If you've ever seen the movie The Thing,
yes,
John
I have.
Carpenter,
Actually, yes, I have.
These are the kinds of stories.
And that's going to be great. Now, Orson just don't go right with anybody. People, just so y'all know that.
If you scroll down, where Hell's Well, I can talk about that too. If you go down a little bit.
Where is it at?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, there it is, right there. Okay.
Yeah. So there's the publisher that put this together, Systema Paradoxa. They are doing a cryptid crate where they do different books that go in the cryptid crates, right? So I can't really say too much about this.
Yeah.
You can pre-order it here, but you can also find it on I don't know if it's cryptidcrate.com or something like that, but you can also get like a little sign up for a service where you get a little cryptid every year or so. But what I did is each writer wrote a novella. So this is like 30,000 words or so. So it's like a tiny little novel, right? And it's about a specific cryptid somewhere in the world. And they're not the most obvious cryptids, right? You're not talking Bigfoot or things like that. But more obscure local cryptids. And then this one is the kind of based in Lone Pine, California, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well, y'all check it out because there's a lot of weird cryptids running around on the planet, people. So it's Lloyd Pye. That's what he used to be. He used to be a cryptozoologist. He did a lot of that. He got into a lot of weird stuff. He's the one that had the alien skull.
Oh wow!
The one nobody could prove wasn't an alien skull. I love that. I remember seeing the original results. I had him on air, and he sent them. I actually had met him at a. He was down here in Louisiana, and I gave him a call, and I said, "Well, can we meet up?" And we went to a Thai restaurant of all places to meet. And then he had the skull with him.
Oh wow!
And I was surprised at how light it was. It's much lighter than the normal. It's actually bigger than a human skull. It's actually about the size of that one behind me. It didn't look like this, but it was actually about the size of this one behind me, which is pretty big, people, in case you don't know. And this is not a little bitty skull. You can see it's bigger than my head. And it was definitely bigger, and it was way, way lighter. And the research came back and said that the mother was definitely human, but the father, they had no idea what it was. They couldn't. It just. The genome was coming back as something different, and they kept trying to say it was an error, but whatever it wasn't human. So probably some type of hybrid. And what's weird about that is that happens to be in the area of where the Naskins live. That's who used to board their children's head to look like they're gods, which just happened to look like this thing's head that they found. And the other thing is, Nazca built all those lines all over the desert that you can only see from way the hell up in the air. You got to be at least 4,000 or 5,000 feet to actually see what the artwork looks like. And it's everywhere. And some of it looks like it's pointing and stuff, but what got me is how these guys made these perfectly straight lines on the ground without knowing the endpoints. I mean, you couldn't see it from the ground. You couldn't even see it from top of a mountain. You had to be up in the air to see it. So it was crazy. I'm like, who in the hell are they making this for? That just weirded me out. And since nobody can figure it out, and also down there's another group down there that have a different skull than we have. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes around our planet that for some reason our news doesn't like to talk about. But our sci-fi writers do so.
Well, I mean, even take gravity, right? We didn't really know if it was a particle or a wave until I think 2016. I mean, we had theories about it, but it wasn't until the LIGO experiment that a bunch of people won the Nobel Prize for. I think it was in 2016 that they proved it was a wave. So there's stuff that we're still
ignorant about.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What's this one? Galaxy's Edge.
So it's a magazine that comes out, I think, 6 times a year. And I'm frequently published in this one. This was used to be edited by Mike Resnick, who sadly passed in I think the beginning of 2020. He was actually in one of his last stories was in Weird World War III, in that anthology. So, but he's also another great in the genre, and I met him. He also taught at Writers of the Future, that contest. So
it's Kimberly, I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I don't think you know what you're talking about, chick. She just posted this weird. Anyway, we're just going to ignore it. No, what do you mean he looks like the guy in Dune? You look like the guy in Dune. You're in crack. Well, you know what? What Dune? I don't even know what Dune you're talking about. The original Dune, the one that was made in between, the Children of Dune, or the new Dune. Come on, you got to. He looks nothing like the guy in New Dune. The guy. I don't know if I like that guy or not. I'm still working on that, but I've got to absorb it, people. I've got to absorb it. It's some things I can take easier. I'm hard on remakes. Okay, if it's something that was really good the first time, I don't know why we remake it. There's some things that can handle the test of time. Yeah, we might laugh a little bit at the special effects because they're not as good as today's, but still, the acting is there. Besides, I love seeing Jean-Luc Picard talk about being an ass and walking across the desert. It's little things like that. I mean, the movie's just a classic. Hey, look, I like the damn movie. I don't like all the big long movies now, but I like some of them. That's like a friend of mine the other day asked me about. He was asking his kid if they'd ever had the Rocky Horror experience. See, down here when we were kids growing up, Rocky Horror was everywhere. They always played it in the late 1980s, and you go in there and everybody freak out and dress up like Rocky Horror people, and they would throw rice at each other, which I thought was weird, but still, I was like, whatever y'all want to do.
Yeah, they sing along. They sing along.
Yeah, sing along. Yeah. Oh yeah, the whole place would be packed with crazy people, and I went a couple of times. I'm like, okay, that's enough for me now. It's time to move on now.
I think everybody's got to go once, right?
Yeah, but it is fun. I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody not to go, but things like that are weird. And then, but we do like for the holidays, like we'll run the 50-hour version that John sent me with all the special effects in it, Battlefield Earth, so it's great. And then of course War of the Worlds and stuff like that. I actually run the original radio version with all the crackles and crickles and shit in it, that you would have heard back in the day. The original recording, and it's good. I mean, if you when you listen to it, especially back then, you would have thought there was some shit going down. I mean,
they read it straight, right? He read it straight.
He did. He did it, and you're listening to the radio, and all of a sudden they're breaking in, and you're like, "What the hell?" And I mean, if you were listening to this on the radio, you were thinking, "Oh, we're in trouble." And then of course, wait, what? Buckaroo? What's Buckaroo Banzai got to do with this?
Oh, okay. You know that story. You've seen the movie, right?
Yeah, I've seen Buckaroo. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because they were from. Yeah. Okay, Grovefield. Yeah. Never mind. Okay. I see. Okay, I got it. Don't go hating on me now. What do you mean? I'm giving his book away next week. Yes, 33. I'll give away. And if y'all are really good, when War 4 comes out, I will order a couple, and we'll give them away on the network. Yeah, well, always do. Anytime we have a guest on, I usually get a couple of their books and give them away. So I keep one for the library, and the rest of them I give away. What do you mean you want it signed? And who are you? He's cute. Now, how do I know if he's cute? I mean, give me a break here, man. I mean, he's okay looking. I don't know what the hell.
I'm getting old. That's the problem. I'm getting old.
Oh, she says she likes your name because her first name is Hazel. Oh, so you're thinking you're last? Okay, look. What are y'all? I know it's Friday night, people. I know it's late Friday night. Okay, y'all live in New York. It's about midnight. Y'all been having a couple. Sometimes they get a little weird on Friday night up in here.
That's all right, as long as they're entertained,
look,
right?
All his information, you can probably find all his information on Amazon, or he's all over. Just type in his name, he comes right up. And we were just on the Amazon site, so Wikipedia. He's got a whole Wikipedia page. Actually, if we're running out of time, I was going to bring his wiki page up because he's got a bunch of stuff on there from, I guess it's different magazines and stuff like that. Where he's well-known and jelly. So y'all can go over there and read him and see what he's got. He's got a lot of credits to his name that we haven't talked about tonight. It's no, we just hadn't talked about it tonight because we didn't get there. We got off sidetracked. You know how I am. I get sidetracked from time to time. We definitely register to get World War IV out and get it. But you should go ahead and get World War III, the weird World War III first, just to get a feel of what's coming. And then if you're really interested in what we were talking about earlier, you can go get L. Ron Hubbard's number 33. Go over to Galaxy Press and get that. And if you want, you can just buy the 5-book set. I think it's like $60 for the 5 books. I think last time I got 30, 32, 33, 34, and 35. 36 and 37 I got while I was there. And then I got a case of those sent to me. So we gave away afterwards. We give away a lot of books, people. Because, books, you never know who's going to get interested and who might be your next author. What kid might get interested in sci-fi and be your next scientist. If I had $1 for every scientist I talked to that said, oh, Star Trek gave me inspiration, I could have retired a decade ago. I have never met anyone at NASA that said that either Buck Rogers or Star Trek didn't give them the motivation to be scientists. Buck Rogers always cracks me up because if you ever watch the old Buck Rogers, you got to be like, what the hell, people? You really...
Who's that? Gil Gerard?
Yeah. I think it was actually. Yeah, and they're fun to watch. It's kind of comical, and
it's very 80s, very 80s.
Yeah, very 80s. Yeah. It does get that kind of weird retro stuff going on. And then there's no, not the Late Great Planet Earth, Forbidden Planet. That's the first colored sci-fi movie ever made, which actually holds up remarkably well in 2022. Oh no, people! It's funny. It's campy because it's what's his name? He's a comedian. He turned into a comedian, but he was a lead man back then. Oh, I can't think of his name now. He played in Naked Gun movies. That's all I can remember. But he played a lead man back in Leslie Nielsen. That's who it was. And but that was an interesting movie. So those kind of movies kind of set the stage for where the 70s and 80s went. And thank God the 80s was so horrible that the 90s went a different direction. 80s went, okay, let me retract that. The 80s wasn't horrible. They were just very campy, is all I can say. The movies were very strange, like the alien clowns and stuff like that. There was just a lot of weird stuff.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah. There's just a lot of weirdness that went on in the 80s. And, that's when Pet Sematary came out in the 90s, didn't it?
Yeah.
Late 80s. Yeah, I think it was
a remake.
90s.
It was a remake, too.
Yeah.
The Thing's still the best. The Thing still holds up today.
Thing's a great movie. Well, somebody the other day was telling me how much he enjoyed the original Blob. I actually forgot about the Blob. I'm not going to kid you. And then I forgot that there was a newer version made. Yep. I forgot all about it. And then, but I watched The Thing the first time because I was watching, what the hell was it? The Boggy Creek Monster. So I was watching that, and The Thing was coming on after. So it was like a double thing. It was a drive-in movie of all things. After they all died out. In Mississippi and Louisiana, you can still find whenever they still got about a handful of them left if you want to go to one. And for you Z-Genists and for you young millennials, if you don't know what a drive-in movie is, I don't know what to tell you. You go park there and watch the movie. Put the little speaker in your car and watch the movie. It's how you got a big screen TV in your house? Well, this is bigger than a movie screen. These things are usually like 200 by 200. They're massive screens, yes.
And you turn on the radio to hear.
Yeah, you can listen through the FM in your car. Or some of them had little speakers you could put on your car. Either way, you could listen. And they had a little concession stand and all. You could go pig out and stuff. It was just a different experience. Now the movie theater right here. Oh man, so if you get a movie here, they all got all these reclining chairs now. They're all pluffed up and fluffed up, and
you can buy beer now too, right?
Yeah, you can buy beer. You can buy liquor. Not just beer. You can get liquor.
You used to do that, right?
Yeah, that's not the movies I went to when I was a kid. It was off limits. Yes, it's like, no, it's not adult movies, people. What are you talking about? No, it's just a regular movie theater. Yes, they just, because, they want adults to come watch movies. And since we don't want popcorn and Coke, we might want, something in a drink. That's what they do now. What are you showing? Okay, Elizabeth is asking, wait, what? No, we talked about that. Oh, wait, you mean what he's doing in the immediate future? Not writing, just what is he doing? Okay, well, what are you doing in the immediate future? I'm not sure what that question means, but there might be some, something behind that question. You better watch out, man. These women around here are tough, dude. They don't know you married or not. They might go eat you for lunch. I'm just warning you, man.
Well, like I said, as long as they're entertained, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I did start a YouTube channel
that's fun.
A month ago, but I interview authors, or at least started interviewing authors in the anthologies that I have, and then I also talk some like geopolitical stuff. So it's mostly like Russia, Ukraine stuff. But
it's good to talk about. I mean, YouTube, you watch a little bit on politics. They don't really care so much. Medical stuff. If you talk about COVID, you'll get your ass booted. But other than that, they're not too bad about stuff like that. I mean, and YouTube's a good place. I mean, we had a great channel over there. United Public Radio had channels up to about 10,000 listeners. It was making a little money. And then one of our hosts got stupid and got us one strike for talking about COVID. And then she started talking about a whole different kind of other stuff, and that was another thing. So we out here. Hey, Kathy, what you doing, sweetie?
I'm waiting to make sure you guys end on time.
Oh no, you can go. You're already go. You can go ahead and start us. The system's already switching over. It's looking for you right now. Yeah, we're just on the YouTube stuff now. You have a good one, sweetie. Stay out of trouble.
Okay. Let's see if I can get back there. All right.
That's not hard.
Oh.
You got to just hit the backspace at the top of your screen or the back arrow.
Backstage. Oh,
no,
dear.
Hold on. Let me remove you that way. I'm going to kick you out. Hold on. Maybe I'm not going to kick you out.
It's easier. Thank you.
Hold on. Let me kick you out. Hold on. Oh, well, let me kick you out. I guess I'm not in the right one. Oh, there we go. Goodbye. It still won't let me kick her out. I don't know what's up with that. I guess I'm in the wrong one, the wrong screen. Yeah, anyway, we got to get out of here anyway, but you just got to kick yourself out. It won't let me kick you out for some reason because I guess I'm on the wrong. That's right. I put it on the other computer when I started it. But anyway, you want to tell them any place to go visit you? What you're going to be visiting anywhere they can see you?
Yeah. So you can find me. My website is just my name, Sean Patrick Hazlett, .com. You can also find my YouTube channel. It's called Through a Glass Darkly. Again, it's brand new, so lots of new content. You can find me on Twitter. It's Sean P. Hazlett. That's my my handle there. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anywhere else. So I look forward to interacting with everybody, and hopefully people enjoy the books, because that's kind of I do it for the love. I'm not doing it for the money. So
yeah, get out there and get the books. It's enjoying people. That's what people. I don't think they realize how much heart and soul people put into these books, and how much work there is involved in it either. I mean, okay. So some books maybe aren't as much work as others, but still, it's a lot of love, a lot of heart goes into a lot of stuff. I mean, all the people I've met in the last 3 or 4 years, the authors I've met seem to really be generally interested in putting out good content. It's not so much about the money as the content. Maybe when they start making money, that changes. I'm not going to say whether it does or does not. Not really, because if you come meet the people that writers of the future, the authors that got big contracts or making big money or doing writing for this or writing for that, they're not snobby. I mean, maybe if you met them somewhere outside of where they are, but they weren't. I mean, I was pressed and they were nice to me. And they didn't have to be. They could have just said, "Get away from me, dude." They could have easily been rude to me, because it's easy to be rude to the press. So y'all get out and check him out, find out when he's out, So if you get a novel out, then you can do some book signing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so, yeah, I'll go see him at the local places wherever you do book signings at, which I hope is still Barnes and Nobles and Borders and places like that. I mean, they're fast.
Borders is gone. Borders is gone.
Yeah, no. Oh, that is. That's true. They are gone. So you
Yeah.
only got Barnes, and we've only got one Barnes and Nobles left. We used to have 3, and they're disappearing fast. So people support. I hate to say it, but support your local books, but you really do kind of need to support some of the bigger chains too, because they really are the ones that can help authors really get out there and really make a difference in making money and not making money. Local bookstores are great. I don't have anything against them. They do a lot of books, but local bookstores tend to pick and choose what they want personally in their stores. Whereas book chains are more looking for, a bunch of stuff they can put out, decent material they can put out that people will be interested in. They need a lot more variety than your local bookstore. That's because, have you ever seen the size of Barnes and Nobles, people? Come on. You know how many freaking books are in that place?
However, local bookstores, if you want to see it in your local bookstore, go to your local bookstore and ask the proprietor to order it, and
they will
support them too, right?
Yes, yeah, because I do believe in supporting the local bookstores, because there's a local LP store, and if you don't know what LP is, people, that's a record, one of vinyl records, and this guy's got every vinyl record ever made in there. Some of these damn records are worth a few grand. It's like, look at this. But yes, I do believe in supporting local economy all the way around. I try to buy everything local as much as I can because, I'm a contractor. All my money is local, so I like to keep it local if I can. But Sean, you've been great as usual, man. I'm gonna let Carmen know. Carmen said, "Tell me if he's being bad." No, just teasing. Just teasing, man. Just teasing.
Joe, I love appearing on your show. It's just
you're fun. Yeah. I have a lot of fun with you. We're gonna have to come on one day. We'll just get into some real. You know what? We might invite John with it too. We'll get into some just sci-fi in general. We'll go through a bunch of other people's materials and books, and maybe where sci-fi is headed, or maybe where this genre or that genre. So I'll talk to Carmen maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months, maybe about 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
and,
always happy to come back.
Yeah, because we'll get in there. We'll get into some deep sci-fi stuff, people. Ginger, I don't know if he's my G. What do you mean? You can't see his hands. How do you know he's got a wedding ring on? Are you a psychic, huh? Well, if you're a psychic, send me the Powerball numbers. All right, I could use a little extra cha-ching here. Y'all people are so go look on his Facebook page. There you go. Do some investigation work. That's what's wrong with you, Z-Gen. You just want it. No, get out there and earn it, man. Jesus, people, y'all are all insane. Anyway, go get some books. Do some reading. Stop hanging out on damn television all the time. It's bad for your eyes. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting an email that says, well, reading's bad for your eyes too. You just see it now. But really, people, go out and get the books, because you can't learn who these new authors are if you don't read them, and you need to support them. People like Sean and some of the other people we've had on recently are the future. Yes, we got a lot of great writers right now, and I'm not taking nothing away from them, but, like we just lost Dave Farland. We're going to be losing other writers as they go along, and some of them are going to retire, some of them are going to pass away. So we need to be supporting these young authors. And when I say young, I'm not meaning so much their age. I'm just talking about experience-wise and getting into the field. It's not that they don't even have experience. It's just they're young to the field itself, because, they haven't got to the $1 million mark yet. Because it's hard to say young, because most of the writers I've met are 30 plus. Actually, most of them I've met are 35 plus. So, 40s, 50s, 60s. There were some young ones, I'm not lying, but most of them were, 30 and over. And I think the reason why is it takes a little while to get the experience to really write right. I'm not saying you can't win right after, it does happen. But usually most of the people I talk to were between 12 and 25 times before they won. So, and again, that's not years. Remember, you can submit 4 times a year, people. So I say submit your happy butt off. And wait, what? No, send your donation to me. I'm poor. Yes, I'm poor. Why do you get this idea that I'm not rich? I'm poor. Jeez, I'm Pete. I live in a shack on the coast, man. I mean, come on. Yeah, I have water in my backyard. It's because I'm poor. I got to watch the water flood my house and shit. Whatever. Y'all give me shit for no reason tonight. Anyway, everybody said, yeah, they had a lot of fun tonight, Sean, and so tonight. You're always great. Guys and girls, we got to get out of here because Quantum Leap is on, and we are now hogging up on her audience, and that's why she come in here and tried to whoop up on both of us. She's out there in Hawaii. Yeah, she lives on a mountain in Hawaii with a 1,000-pound crystal. Yes, don't ask me. Just go enjoy her show, and we'll see y'all next week. Sean, thanks again, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see y'all in a couple of days. Good night, everybody.